All right. Hey, everybody. Once again, thank you for tuning in for another episode of I Do Affirm Affirmation Conversations. Today, I am bringing you my cousin, Jennifer Nicole Williams, tuning in from University City by way of St. Louis, where she was born and raised. How you doing, Jen?
Hey, girl.
So Jennifer, as you can see, she is branded, wearing her brand. She is the CEO of JNW Creations, which is a custom laser engraving company. So Jennifer, tell me how you came about that. I mean, obviously you've been artistic your entire life as far as I can remember. And I'm only, 13 months older than you about. So how'd you come up with that?
Well, I came up with JNW Creations because, as you just in the title, I have always been creative. I love to start things from scratch. I love designing. I don't like really to do the same thing over and over again. And so it was a chance for me to enhance my creativity and also to implement what people like all in one. Like just to be able to have that personalization. I love to be able to fulfill the needs of other people when they like, hey, I'm looking for this, whether someone have a death or celebrating a birthday or something, just being able to come up with that end result of what they wanted, they give me their vision and then I'm able to fulfill it is why I came up with JNW Creations. I always love to help people and be creative and like that's I feel like that's my gift that God has blessed me with. So in creating my business and creating my company, God made all of us different. So it's just like this is what I feel like I was naturally born to do, to be able to just create and be a blessing to other people. And why not start a business on it with doing something that you normally do every day?
Exactly.
And
Well,
you
I
can
was
have fun and be happy with it.
exactly. And God did give you a lot of talents, and most of your talents are artistic, related. So, first of all, I wish I would have grabbed something out of the downstairs before I came to this interview because I have this painting that you painted of Piglet for my daughter when she was first born. I don't know if you remember that.
Oh, how old is Jason now? Like
She's 17.
17
And
years ago.
yes. And her first painting was, I mean, her first room was the classic Winnie the Pooh, and you did the Piglet. So I still have that downstairs on canvas. If she walked by the kitchen, I would have her go and grab it because I want to show that 17 years ago, and I still have this, and I always will, because it was one of your first creations. Now this is 17 years ago, and now you have manifested into your own business. And then I remember you were doing a couple years back before. I mean, first of all, just the other day I sent you a Facebook memory, and I'm like, hey, happy anniversary, because you just launched this business about a year ago.
Yes.
Yes. But you were doing those ornaments. You were literally hand painting ornaments. I mean, you've just been doing so many of those things, painting things. I mean, I know I still have a custom painting of yours that I want to put in my forever home. And it's somewhere in your house, you holding it for me. It's a huge canvas, and I cannot wait because it looks like something that you would buy for thousands of dollars, at an art gallery. So I mean, like, he has definitely blessed your hands, but we cannot forget to mention that he has blessed your voice. Okay.
Thank you.
Yes,
Yes,
y'all.
yes.
This girl, she does not sing, she sings. Okay. So Jennifer has been singing our whole life. We grew up going to our, like, family church on our uncle's side, New Pilgrim Missionary Baptist. Okay, the MBs.
Whoop, whoop,
So, so
Beginnings.
so they gave a lot of us, time to, like, opportunities to lead. I mean, I was always shy, and I really didn't sing too well, but Jennifer was always leading, and I mean, she was fully committed, which was one of the songs that she did lead off in. And I mean, she could sing even from such a young age, and it was just so phenomenal. And just to see your voice grow, and you do normally sing when you sing, and you singing for the Lord normally, but I mean, you're still doing that. You're doing various events, weddings. Unfortunately, you do funerals. And I mean, it's just like your voice is amazing. I know I was just home last week, and we ride in the car, and, mom in the back seat and Addie in the back seat. And I know they probably thought we were crazy, But I mean, we, bringing back our childhood when we
Yes, reminiscing
girl,
from the
Destiny
1990s and
Child.
1980s, messing around in the kitchen. You being Mariah Carey and always the lead singer in the Beyonce group in the what were they? Destiny's Child. Oh man,
Girl, yes.
classic.
Like it was just, first of all, y'all, I was only the Beyonce because I was more like the boss, the organizer person. I was not the Beyonce because I had the voice, because Jennifer would have then been the Beyonce. Okay, let's just put it that way. And Cece was like, she was the Kelly,
The
or
dancer,
and you were like the
coordinator.
Michelle, singing the gospel. But it's like it's so funny because Cece was really the dancer. You were really the better vocalist, and I was really like the organizer. So I
Yes.
think that's really like you became the Michelle. You were like the gospel singer with the amazing voice, and Cece was more, she was the dancer, and then I'm just kind of like the boss. It's like
That is so
it
funny.
really kind of still manifested itself
Yes.
into reality. So, but I mean, that's what we used to do growing up, putting on shows, acting like we was everybody from SWV, Total, TLC, all the girl groups, right?
Exactly.
So, I mean, yeah, it's phenomenal. So I'm so proud of you. And y'all, if you did not know, my signature I Do Affirm logo, that's a JNW creation. So she definitely did that. And the design for my website, the initial, like the thought of it, she put it all out there. And of course, I, added to it and gave it, my flavor, but it was her initial design. So pretty much everything that I normally want, I have her started, so she can manifest her artistic ideas, and then I go on and put, my touch to it. But that's JNW Creation. So we're gonna make sure that we put her information at the end of this interview. And I know you see her right there because she don't play with her brand, and she already got her .com up there, which is gonna be throughout the whole interview. So today we're gonna talk about the affirmation, I am precious. So if y'all did not know, you are all precious. Like, I had her bugging up yesterday because she couldn't remember what her affirmation was supposed to be for today. So I had to sing one of the little church songs we sung in like vacation Bible school. What was the song I sung?
You like, we are precious in his sight. Jesus loves the little children of the world.
Oh, it was
I'm
so
like, Lord.
You know the song Red and Yellow, Black and White, they are precious. I was like, girl, it was so funny. Yo, it was crazy. But yes, that's what it is. You are valuable and you must be treated with care by others. Okay. You are precious like a diamond. And that's why I sold my baby homecoming necklace to wear specifically for this interview for you, to show you how precious you are. So describe for me kind of, like how you came to realize in your life, just, how precious you are as an individual, as God's creation.
Oh, thank you. So I think it wasn't really until I got older, going to church and really learning about God for ourselves. Sometimes we go to church and it's kind of like out of rote, out of habit. But as you get older, and I feel as if when God gifts you with a gift, it becomes your purpose in life. So that just manifests to us being precious because God made us all individually, and he gave us all a purpose, and it's for us to live out as his glory. So as I think about just even the hardships that we had as when we were younger, like we didn't really have that personal relationship with God. We knew who God was, but as you get older and become more grounded in God, he helps you develop like who you want to be. And that lets us know like we are precious to him, because we are made in his image. And so when I look at other people and just think about all their flaws, and it's just like, wow, everybody is precious and unique in their own way. So these affirmations actually really come to life in everyday life because they're really part of the fruit of the spirit, and they're all throughout the Bible. So when you came up with these affirmations and you were spitting your ideas, I'm like, wow, as a Christian, as a young person in a ministry, it's just like, wow, look how God works. Like, this is a precious creation, and you begin to see like how precious everything is, you know what I'm saying, as far as like business and just life in general. Just think about the pandemic. Like I mean, just from babies and looking at them, like it's just like life is more precious and more valuable now. You know what I'm saying? You had just never take anything for granted. So even when you gave me I really didn't think about it. So as you mentioned earlier, it's just like I couldn't remember my affirmation. But then as I let it sink in and just played around with it a little bit and just got into it, it's just like, wow, I never even thought about myself in such an extinct way as being precious. It's always unique. Yeah, I always been unique. I always been different. I always been goofy. I always been creative. But precious just brings on a different perspective of it. It's just like precious is a little more calm. It's a little more, have a little more detail to it. You know what I'm saying? So it was really an eye opener for me. I'm like, am I precious? And precious, so when
because when I first said precious, you were talking about the movie with Monique, and I was saying, and I was like,
my goofy side, like I was like, oh, you gave me this for this plus size person. Remember, people used to always say, oh, you look like you Monique. And because I was heavy and I was
Monique.
always goofy and being a comedian, I'm like, oh, I got it, and I kind of never put two and two together. I'm like, oh yeah, you know how we can be shady. I was like, yeah, you got me. But when we flipped it, when you start singing Jesus Love the Little Children, I said, thank you, Lord. You helped her out. You saved her life.
Girl, you ain't got no damn sense. Nobody feels like sense, okay?
Right.
Sense, but we some cool ass people, I swear. Oh my God, you are crazy, girl. So speaking of the pandemic, okay, so I definitely remember like you having COVID. I remember specifically you telling me how you went to church. I think you were singing, and then you were feeling hoarse, which that ain't you. Okay,
yeah, I sung at the Basilica. That's when I got it. Remember, I was one of the first people in Missouri to have it. I was on lockdown before the world was on lockdown. And they just told me, hey, you have some kind of coronavirus. And that's when I learned that there are thousands of coronaviruses. And until it was specified on the news and everything, that's when we finally figured out that the particular coronavirus that I had was COVID-19, but I just remember being in the hospital, running a fever of 104.7, just being lethargic, like sleeping 22 hours out of 24 hours a day. Like it was crazy. I literally was on my deathbed.
And I remember you were in the hospital for a while, and then they sent you home because they're like, there's really nothing else that we can do. They really didn't know exactly what to do, so they told you to quarantine. And then I remember you're like, I just got this email and it said from COVID care. Remember, you got this COVID care. You're like, oh man, you were like, I know for a fact it's COVID-19 because I got that COVID care email, and it was crazy. And you were pretty, you weren't like unhealthy, but you were pretty healthy before then, and you've had so many medical issues since COVID. And I know, like, how has that basically sort of like exacerbated your thought of just how precious life is since having been diagnosed with COVID? Because I feel like you're one of the people, like I have COVID, unfortunately right now, day 7. Hopefully when I take this test again after you, I'm negative, but I was still positive 2 days ago. But I haven't really exactly had like, long COVID, as they say, but you have had so many major health issues and hospital stays post-COVID. And that was like, what was yours, like 2 years ago? A little bit over?
Well, actually 3. We've been quarantined for 3 years, and this is 2022 is going on 4. So, wow. So basically, like before COVID, I was literally just taking like a multivitamin. Every now and then I would have like some high blood pressure. But what happened when I got COVID, it really affected my kidneys. So now I have like acute membranous nephritis. And which caused a lot of inflammation, like body swelling. Like some days I can't see, some days I have so much fluid where I can't
girl,
hear.
I've seen it.
And it makes my potassium really low, so it affects my heart. So if my body or heart cramp up, it would be hard for them to revive me or resuscitate me because of the cramping of the low potassium. So it was time where I was in the heart hospital for a while. I was literally in the hospital like every month for 5 to 10 days. It was literally crazy. I have had surgery on my face, my nose, my mouth, because I formed like these I lost bone
I
density,
remember,
like in my face, like moth-like. I began to get these tumors in my face, and as in, even going through all that, in the beginning, I was so depressed. It was so stressful. And when going through quarantining, like people like me and you, we used to being around everybody. Everybody is uplifting, even it's like you always have somewhere to go. But during COVID, it's like you lost relationships with people because of it, and with me having in the beginning, it was kind of like, I just said I had COVID. It was kind of like I felt like I didn't say I had AIDS. I can't give it to you, like blood to blood, but people was like, oh, COVID, like she had that. And so that put a bigger wedge in. Some people may be able to relate, but you lost relationships, you lost friendships because of it, and just the distance of everybody just taking the time to do what they can for themselves, because life is different. You're not around people. You're not at work. So I was really depressed. And so
I remember, girl, you were really depressed, Jennifer.
Yes, to a point where I felt as if sometimes, we talking about these affirmations, and this is to encourage someone else, to a point where I did not want to be here. Like for times, like
me and Ms. Coleman were about to I was about to lock you in my basement.
Yes, you have these suicidal thoughts. You don't want to be here, Lord. Why am I going through this? And just for my affirmation, he reminds, like, you're precious. You have a purpose. That is my PPP. Precious purpose, period. That's my hashtag. You tell on the COVID PPP. Let me tell y'all, just go with purpose, precious, period. Precious, purpose, period. It doesn't matter. Period, precious, purpose. It doesn't matter what order it goes in.
Look, like I'm telling you, order, it don't matter what order.
PPP, precious, purpose, period.
Not that other PPP that people going to jail for.
That's it. It's just like saying amen, amen, amen. Like that ends it all.
That's right, girl. That is awesome. Well, what advice would you give somebody? I know you just gave your tagline, but otherwise, someone who was struggling, right? Not actually feeling precious. Like, you've been there, because like you said, you really were down at your worst. I remember you being in the car. I remember getting that call from you, and you were like, I just don't even want to live anymore. Like, COVID really had this girl down, y'all. And this is like one of the most positive people I know, period. Like, it was so freaking sad. And I didn't even know what to do. We couldn't even travel. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't even rescue somebody when you're literally restricted from travel, and not just because, the society was restricting us, but like, I'm in the Army. Like, we literally couldn't travel. We were under restrictions. My hands were tied. I didn't know what to do. I mean, so I know that there are people, not COVID related, but just struggling with a whole lot of things, mental issues, just financial issues, just emotional issues, physiological, and they don't feel precious, right? They haven't had that revelation that you have had. What advice would you give them?
My advice to them would be, first, put God first. You know what
whatever
I'm saying?
Their God is, right? Whatever their God is.
I was just about to relate to that. Whatever your God is, even if you're not so close in the church, just center yourself in something that makes you happy. And just remember that if you can just take a breath, that's just letting you know that you're precious and you have a purpose. whatever your natural being, with you being yourself, if you're able to breathe and just wake up in the morning, just remember that you are precious, and think about how you can help somebody else. Sometimes just taking it off of yourself and just not thinking about how down I am, how stressed I am, just ask your inner self, or if you're led by God or by nature, whatever you led by, just how can I help somebody else today? Right. And that is our fulfilling need. So when you be able to do those things, then it's all about helping your neighbor, helping one another. You will become to feel so much better. And what I found was, even when you have an ailment that you can't control, like the flu or COVID or depression or anything, just being mindful of other things. If your spirit is lifted, it helps you get through. If you're the stress is one of the deadliest killers that I learned that you can have. Some people think it's cancer or being a diabetic, but if you're not uplifted and your spirit is down and all of that, it makes you worse. It makes you weaker. So you remember that you're precious. Just try to be happy. Take in, if you find a comfort food, if you find a good show with a good laugh, some music, just try to change that good internal energy, just for yourself. How people nowadays is just saying, like, if you can't take care of yourself, how are you going to take care of somebody else? So taking even 5 minutes a day to just breathe and woosah, read a book, watch a movie, something that makes you laugh, just because you're precious. Like, seriously, like, if you have breath in your body, like, you have purpose, you're precious, and say it enough to where you believe it, even if you don't. Exactly. That energy would change. Just wake up, I have things where I say in the morning now, is be like, Lord, thank you for waking me up this morning. Like, I'm grateful. Now I can add, I'm precious. And you'd be like, it becomes the norm, and such a good feeling when you speak life into yourself and other people, where you be like, I am precious. You are too, sister. You're precious. Right. You right. Look precious. You know what I'm saying? You speak those things that are not as though they so, and it would just manifest itself.
That's right. I have learned that there is so much power in telling yourself, I am, and whatever you put behind it, whether it's positive or negative. So you want to seek the positive. Now, we cannot help what we consciously think, So exactly. I always say, if you're thinking negativity, try to beat that negativity. But when it comes out of your mouth, only speak positive things. And I do the same exact thing. When I wake up in the morning, Jennifer, and I talk to God, I'm verbalizing it now, because I used to just do it in my mind, but I want to speak it into my universe. So I wake up, and, no matter, if I wake up and I'm like, oh man, I got a headache, dang, my back hurt, man, I don't even feel like going to work and dealing with these people, you know what I'm saying? Whatever the deal is, but that's in my mind. But what comes out of my mouth is, thank you so much, God, for waking me up, letting me breathe. I am grateful. I am healthy.
Yes. And then you come to realize that it's just the little things that you take for granted, that you don't think got you. Sometimes we feel like we have the right to wake up. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
It's just like, I'm woke. And with life going on, like all the killings and the shootings and all the different diseases that's coming up, it's just like, you got to speak those things and say thank you even to people in the store. Like, the little people are so stressed out and depressed these days. When you see somebody down, or just in the grocery store, don't count it as it being little when you checking out, like this is your job, you getting paid for it. Say, thank you so much. You have a great day. Compliment on somebody. Yes. Like, that color looks very nice on you. I love You're precious. Tell them your affirmation. Exactly. Lift them up. Exactly. And then another thing I wanted to add too was on how to encourage somebody. like even during the pandemic, when I started my business, it was during the pandemic and I really wanted to launch it, but I didn't have any money. Like I literally was running on funds, and you on my own funds, which was not a lot. I never got a loan from a company. I never got one of those PPP loans because I didn't want to do it illegally. And I know that legally I didn't, and that's just a whole nother topic. You think you can start a business and get a loan, but some other things fall into place where you don't have collateral and all of that.
Right.
So this is another thing to know that you're precious, and let your affirmations, just manifesting you and show that you're precious, because I have never gotten a loan. I have, I fell behind in bills and stuff a lot of times, but not to a point where like I'm not in debt. It's just like God gave me the vision, and I just kept going. Like I didn't let it get me down, even though I was down, because I knew that it was part of my purpose. That's and right. Because I'm precious, period.
That's right.
And so it's just like, so then it's just like, that's another thing is don't give up. Like over time, just think about the Facebook. I saw their movie before. They started off in a garage. They kept getting off and off and off and off and off. And, like mine started doing things locally for friends and family. And then the next time, like it just kept manifesting in itself. And then I got my first corporate job with Wash U during the pandemic. It's just like, be persistent. I'm trying to say everything with a P because it's precious, and like be persistent. It really works off and pays off when you find your purpose. Be persistent, be prayerful, and just go with it. That's all I can say. Just live life to the fullest. Take it a step at a time, and basically all I can say is don't give up, because I believe that one day in my heart, in my mind, in my soul, that I'm gonna have a business that runs like Walgreens, and I'm gonna have my local store where people come to me.
Brick and mortar, girl. Yes, ma'am.
I believe it. I'm speaking it into existence, and I believe it's gonna happen, whether I have a loan or not.
Period. That's right, cousin. Oh my God. Well, thank you so much for not just, empowering and inspiring others who are watching, but definitely lifting me, because, I started my business just a couple months after you started yours last year.
Right.
And, I mean, we're doing it, not to the level that we want to do it yet, but I mean, we are both going to be where we want to be, because we got God, we got one another, we got people who,
as the senior saints say, slowly but surely.
Exactly, slowly but surely. Like, hey, if you believe it, you will achieve it. That's how I do everything. Everything in time. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much. I love you, and you take
love you too,
and go handle your business, because I know you got stuff to do.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey there again, it's me. I'm back to give you another final thought, and of course to thank you for tuning in to another episode of idoaffirm's Affirmation Conversation. I hope you enjoyed the conversation with Jennifer, my cousin, as much as I did. I really loved some of the points that she had. I loved all the points that she had. But most of all, I loved how she said, you are made individually. And because you have breath, you have purpose. So don't give up. I encourage you to speak positivity into your universe and let that positivity manifest around you. Know that you are treasured and you are beloved. And if you find yourself in situations or relationships for which you do not feel that way, please reassess your belonging there. Your life has value, and so do your contributions. So do not cheapen them. You are precious, period, as Jennifer would say. Take care of yourself.